So at the top of your worksheet, you see these are the 4 buttons, the 4 main buttons that we're going to be accessing today. So you might want to like put a box around them or something as they talk about what these buttons are. Okay, these are the ones we're going to need. You will find those across the top of your calculator right under the screen. There should be a Y equals button, window, table, zoom. Oh, and she didn't put graph on there, but graph is there too. Okay, so we're going to do all of those things across the top. What we need to talk about today, our goal is to learn about what a scatter plot is. Now, you probably drew scatter plots when you were in middle school, but let me give you the formal definition of that. All right, so you can write that down. Okay, a scatter plot is a graph made up of dots or data points, and we say that they are distinct data points or distinct dots. Distinct means they're not connected. They're just dots. Okay, it's not like it's not like connect the dots. It's just made up of distinct dots that represent data. Okay. And the thing you should know about scatter plots is that the bottom axis, the x-axis, is always your time axis. So if you're measuring something that has to do with time, whether it's a day or a second or a month or a minute or a year or a week, it's always going to be time down along the bottom axis down there. Okay, that's a scatter plot. So you don't have to write this on here right now, but it's going to look like a bunch of dots like this. Okay, so we're going to make ours and see how they turn out. And they should maybe be making a pattern. All right, so that is what a scatter plot looks like. Okay. A trend line. Okay, it's a straight line. That goes in the same direction, basically. It's the same basic direction as the dots do. It doesn't connect the dots though, and it doesn't even go through all of them. It might touch a couple of them. It goes in the same basic direction. The basic direction is the trend. Now you can trend up, you can trend down. Okay, a straight line that goes in the same basic direction as the data. Did I get all that? Same as. So we'll learn how to draw those on the calculator too. We can do scatter plots on the calculator. We can do trend lines on the calculator. All right, now correlation coefficient. Probably never heard that before. The correlation, that's why we had to turn the diagnostic on our calculators first. A correlation coefficient is, let's see, it's the best way to describe it. It tells you how strong your trend line and your data is. It basically tells you how good of a match it is. How many of you have family members, or probably not you and you're not old enough yet, but have done like those DNA tests like 23andMe or any of those, okay? And it will come back and tell you what a good match it is, like it's a 97% match or whatever. Correlation coefficient's kind of like that, and it tells you how good your trend line is to the dots. Are the dots really close to the trend line, or are the dots sort of scattered and far off from the trend line? So let's see. It's a decimal that represents the strength of the trend line. So is the trend line a good one, or is it not? All right, if it is a positive trend line, oh, and it's always called the letter R. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out yet. The correlation coefficient, you know, you have M for slope and B for y-intercept. They chose the letter R to stand for the correlation coefficient. So, yeah, you might want to note that. Okay, we're going to call that the letter R. And if R turns out to be positive, so if it's greater than 0, and less than or equal to 1. It will never be higher than 1. 1 would be the highest because 1 would represent 100% perfection. So if it's between 0 and 1, it means it's a positive trend. That means your line is going up. If it's between -1, that's the lowest it would be, and R, so if it was like that, then that means the trend is going down. We call that a negative trend or a negative correlation. A 0 would be a terrible trend. It would be you had no trend at all. It was totally flat. Okay, it wasn't trending up or trending down. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to put some data, and this particular data measures how fast men have swum the 100 meters in the Olympics since 1908. And we're going to see if there's a trend to that data. And we're going to learn how to make a graph for it. We're going to learn how to make a trend line that goes through it, and then see what we can do with that, okay? All right, so the first thing you need to know is how to put that data in. Now remember, time is always going to go in for x. That's important to know. And but you're like, ooh, there's 2 times. There's a year time, and then there's a gold medal seconds time. Like, how do you choose? It's the time you can't control. Like the years, just time is a calendar and it just keeps going. I can't stop time or speed it up. The gold medal times are like the racing times, and you can control that by your training and things like that. But the year is going to be our x, and the gold medal times are going to be our y. In your calculator, this is going to be called not x and y, but L1 and L2. That stands for list 1, it's a list of data, and list 2. So let me show you where to find those on your calculator. All right, you're going to go to the button under the delete key called stat. Stands for statistics, which is really what you're doing. You're making statistics here. So go ahead and pick stat, oops, calculator on, and we're going to edit, and that's where you enter statistics in. I have some statistics already from a class earlier today, but do you have an L1 and an L2 column? Mm-hmm. Okay. What I need you to do, you have to clear it if there's anything in there. If you borrowed a calculator from somebody or whatever, put your cursor up on the L1, hit clear and enter, and it will automatically erase everything in that list for you. And do the same thing for list 2. You hit clear and enter and erase it. And then you can just take a minute and enter 1908 as your first data entry in list 1, and then 1920, 1928, and I'm just copying the data from the worksheet. So go ahead and fill in the rest of the data for the years. And when you get the years done, then you can use your arrow key to move over, and you can put the seconds in as well. You can kind of guess at what the trend is when you look at what the times are doing. The years are going up, but what are the gold medal times doing? They're going down. So our trend is going to be to go down in this situation. So this is we're under step 2 if you're looking at the other worksheet. We have cleared our calculator, and we are now entering statistics. And then turn your calculator around and just show me when you're done so that I know when everybody's done. Any more time, Jacob, or not working? Okay, Sean. Okay, looks good. Here, let's start over. You look like you're in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's quit out of here. Let me pause the recording a minute. All right, now that we have our data entered, we want to create the scatter plot on our graph. We're going to do that by using what's above the y equals button. Oh, you know what I did forget to tell you? Push the actual y equals button a minute. And if you have anything there, would you clear and delete it out so that there's nothing there? I should have told you to do that first. Okay. All right. Once you have that cleared, now go to second y equals. And this thing can do 3 scatter plots at a time. We're just going to do 1. So would you hit enter on plot 1? And you want to make sure you've turned it on. So hit enter on on. You want to make sure that the type is the first one listed. There are lots of different types. This thing can do column graphs, it can do box and whiskers plots, it can do lots of things. You want to make sure you have that, and you want to make sure it says L1 and L2 because those are the columns that we used. Anybody not getting that screen set? Yeah, you can change, if you've got one of the newer ones, you can change the colors if you want. All right, the moment of truth, we're ready to graph it. Don't hit graph though, that's not the right way to do it. Okay, you want to do zoom. Okay, and then make sure that you pick number 9, which is called zoom stat, because that's what we're doing. We're doing statistics. We're not doing, so you want to go down to zoom 9 and pick that. And then it should make your graph. Okay. All right. So turn your calculators around so that I can see those. Good. Oh, I didn't make it up. All right. Do zoom stat. Okay. Did you turn it on? No. It's still off. Left and off. That looks great. Good. Okay, great. Okay, fun. Okay, now we zoom stats. Number 9. Okay, all right. That's why you have it. You want that. Let me pause it here. All right, so this might accidentally happen to you, where there is a dot that seems like it's totally out of place. All right, so then how do you fix that? Because it looks like that thing doesn't belong. So what you want to do is go back to where when you typed those data in the first place. Where did I do that? Stat and edit. All right, so something is not right in these numbers. Okay, one of those. Okay, where do you see it?
2000.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. Accidentally typed in 1684 instead of 1984 instead of 1984. So we just have to fix it. Put enter. And then redo the zoom number 9. So zoom number 9. Enter. And now it looks good. Okay, so if that ever happens to you, just go back and check and make sure you didn't accidentally type it in. Okay, can you make that shape on that scatter plot on your worksheet? Okay. Yep, you are drawing the scatter plot. Yeah.
How are we supposed to know if it's like right? Because like, what if I just look at it and
That's going to come from that correlation coefficient, which I'm going to show you how to get in a minute. All right. Okay, so do your best and just, make kind of a general thing of what you see. Okay. And then label the bottom as the year, because the years are on the bottom. Years are always on X. And then label the side as the racing times, right? So that was the race time. Whoops. Sorry, race time. Okay, the question right above the scatter plot, it says, do these points represent a positive trend, a negative trend, or no correlation? So what do you think? Okay, this is definitely negative. Now, the next step is for us to find the actual line that goes through these. It's going to be a line that's going to have a negative direction, going to go down. It'll go through some of the points, not all, but it'll go through some of the points. If we connected them all, we'd have a jagged line. We want a nice, straight, smooth line to go through that. All right, this is called the line of best fit. So we're up to part C, which is finding the line of best fit, and we are on to calculate the line of best fit on here. So let me show you how to do that. Here, line of best fit, would you on your worksheet like highlight that or underline that and do, it is also known as regression. If anyone ever says to you, find the regression, they're saying find the line of best fit. That's what that's another word for that. Oh, sorry. This is what I did. You couldn't see it. AKA regression. Okay. All right. Okay, to do this next step, we go back to stat, but we've moved on to the second phase of our process. The first phase of the process is the stat edit section. The second phase is the calc one. So arrow over to the menu of calc. And there are lots of things your calculator can do. Today we're going to focus on the one that has to do with lines. We want the trend line. Okay, I'll back up again. Stat. We already did the edit one, so we're going to move over to the calculate menu. We want the one for a trend line, which is number 4. Okay, number 4 is called linear, stands for line, or the line regression. All right, would you select number 4? Okay, you should have options like this. Okay, the default should say L1 and L2. What's in L1? Do you remember? The years. And what's in L2? The times, and in seconds. That's what we want. The only thing you have to enter, you can skip frequency list, is the store of the regression equation. You need to enter something in there. And what we want is we want this calculator to memorize, to put the trend line in a y equals mx plus b format for us. This is where you're going to find that. Okay. You have, how many, does anybody have an 83 calculator? Do you all have 84s? Or higher? Everybody have 84? Okay, I hope so. All right. We want to get to, okay, mine's green. You find your alpha button? Alpha trace. Alpha trace, and that little thing should pop up like that. And then you want Y1. Okay, we can back up. Okay, when you're sitting in this regression equation section, alpha trace, pick Y1. All right, we are ready, as long as everybody's there, to calculate. Boom. Okay? It just calculated the trend line for you.
Wait, what did we do?
Calculate.
What button is that?
It was right underneath where you just put your Y1 in. Okay, I'll try that again. Stat, calc, number 4. I come down here. That's the only thing I have to enter on this screen. Okay, L1 is fine, L2 is fine. The only thing I have to enter here is alpha trace, and I have to select Y1. Okay? Then I go to calculate, and I push the enter button. Okay, and it finds it for us. All right, we get a couple things. A is the same as M. Do you see at the top it says y equals ax plus b?
Yes.
You're used to y equals mx plus b. So A stands for what? Which it stands for? Okay, so our slope is going down, negative 1.6356. Our B is 3.75, and our R. Our R, remember I told you that R stood for what's called the correlation coefficient and has to do with the match. This is a negative number, which we expected for a negative trend, and it's 0.98, like a decimal. 0.98 means what in decimal, or what in percentage? 98. This is a 98% match. Think of it like that. Okay, so let's go back to your paper. We want to record this answer so we don't forget it. It says find your line of best fit, round to 5 decimal places. The line of best fit is the equation y equals ax plus b, but we were given a to be negative, and count 5 decimal places off of your that they give you, so negative 0.16357. Okay, that's 5 decimal places. Plus the b value, which is 375, 5 decimal places, 2, 5, 1, 8, 2, 25182. Question D, how accurate is your line of best fit? Well, R equals negative 0.98. Okay, that's a 98% match. That is a very strong match. Extremely strong. Okay, 98%, I'd say it's pretty strong. Okay, now the fun part. Hit graph on your graphing calculator.
Bro.
Okay, and there's your trend line. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Hit graph. All right, let's finish letter E. Okay, oh yeah, draw that trend line on your picture. Okay, trend line. Okay, so trend line, try and do it as straight as you can. Mine didn't turn out quite as straight, but your trend line, like I said, it's not going to hit all the points, but it'll hit, most of them to the tune of 98% accuracy. So if that's 98% accurate, then I should be able to predict a future time for the Olympics. And so we get to part E, and it says use your equation to predict the time for 2016. Now remember, 2016 is a year, and the years were in which column? L1. And what variable is L1? X. So I'm going to put the year 2016 into my line of best fit equation. So the time is going to be, in my line of best fit equation, negative 0.16357, and then for X, I'll put 2016, and then 375.2518. So you'll want to quit away from your graph using second mode to quit away from your graph, and then go ahead and type that in to determine what you predict the time to be in the year 2016. So I'll switch away. I'm going to quit by doing second mode, which quits me away. And then I can type in negative 0.16357 times 2016 plus 375.25812. All right, we predict the time to be 45.501 watts seconds. $45.501 seconds. Okay, how would you predict 2020 for next summer? Okay, well let's try it. I'll show you another trick on your calculator. 45.501. Okay. Hit second plus on your calculator. Second plus. Whoops. No, sorry. Second negative, my fault. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm doing it all wrong. Second enter. That's what we want. Second enter. Second enter pulls up what you just did, and then you can change it to be 2020. Then you don't have to retype the whole thing. Okay? So we predict 2020. It'll be 44.84 seconds, and we can, check the future, and we'll see next summer what they come out to be. Okay. You guys did great. All right, now we're going to do example 2, and we're going to finish just in time for the bell. All right, folks, we're ready. We're going to try it again. Hit clear to clear this screen. Go to y equals and hit clear to clear that. Go to stat, edit, and hit clear to clear those. Because we're going to try another one. Okay, try it again. Stat. So what should be clear? Your y equals button should be clear. Clear is different than delete. Stat. Edit. Put your cursor on the top. If you only put your cursor on one of the data points and hit clear, it'll just clear the one. If you want to clear the whole thing at the same time, put your cursor on the top and push clear and then enter. Clear followed by enter. Okay, could you now fill in the next two lists of data which are given to you for the different cities and their temperature? So we'll have 30. You have to click enter. Clear followed by enter. 30, 42, 52, 56, and 56 again. 83, 68, 56, 50, 47. What do you think the trend's going to be for this one again? Okay, negative, because the one goes up and the other goes down. Now the temptation is to skip things and be like, yay, I'm ready for Zoom stat, go. The problem is you have to turn on the stat plot. So that is second, once you're done with your data, second, y equals. Make sure that it's still turned on. Sometimes people, my calculator's broken and I'm not getting the scatter plot, and because they'll still have it turned off. So just make sure that's turned on. Once that's turned on, then the fun part is Zoom stat. Zoom stat is number 9. And that's what you should get. So let's calculate the equation for this one. Okay, we are now back to stat again, but it's stat calc instead of stat edit. So stat over to calc. We pick number 4 because we're doing a line. You're going to do curves and all different things. We're just sticking with lines for now. And then the only thing you should have to enter is down under the store regression equation, alpha trace. Pick the y1 and then calculate. If you don't do that part, you will not see a trend line. Okay, once you get to calculate, you'll hit enter. And then write down on your worksheet to 5 decimal places what the trend line for this. Oh, she said only hundredths. Okay, great. We only have to do hundredths this time. All right, so that turns out to be y equals ax plus b, which to the nearest hundredth is negative 1.32x plus 122.89. And write down the r. How does the R compare to last time? I mean, this is 99.5, right? The R is negative 0.995. I mean, this is practically a perfect line. And then finally, hit graph. And you should have this trend line going right through your data points as well.
Wait, how are you supposed to do that?
Hit graph.
56.
Yeah.